Man, I said, come and rescue me. T, Milestone, we didn't come this far just to come this far, bro. Giggity. This is your golden opportunity right here, bro. This is it right here, dude. This could save the entire Supercross Milestone dirt bike game franchise forever. If you can pull this off right here, bro. I'm telling you. So, I just made my Supercross 7 video talking about what I thought that game was going to be like and what they needed to do with it. And Spency Boy wasn't even thinking at all about a SuperMotocross, official SuperMotocross game from Milestone. Bro, I wasn't even thinking of that as like a possibility at all. Because I just don't think Milestone's even capable of that. That's how much I didn't even, like, it wasn't even on my radar, dude. Like, it wasn't even in my thought process of maybe Milestone will go in there in 2024 and come out with an official Super Motocross game. Dude, I wasn't even thinking about it because it just seems so impossible for them to do that. But I just had to come in here and make this video and talk about this. Shout out to you boys that left comments on that Supercross 7 video. I literally had to see those to even realize, oh shit, yeah, what if they make a Super Motocross game? Because if you guys don't know, with the Milestone official Supercross games or MXGP games, for the most part, normally they're based off of the previous year. So, like this right here, Supercross 6, it's actually based off of last year's Supercross season. But last year was the... they didn't even come out with an MXGP game last year. So we've all been sitting around waiting, kind of wondering what they're doing with that. They don't really have like an actual motocross game anymore. Bro, is this what they're doing? Are they like kind of combining both teams to go in there and make a combination game that has all the official Supercross tracks and all the official Lucas Oil Pro Motocross tracks mixed into one game? This is how you do it right here, Milestone. I mean, I think this is the only way that you can save your series. I don't think you just coming out with a Supercross 7 at this point is really going to do a whole lot for you, unless the gameplay is just like above and beyond, like it's on like Supercross 3's level or something like that. But the best thing that you can possibly do is come out with a Super Motocross game, because they're just starting all this Super Motocross stuff in real life this year. So it would be the perfect opportunity to, you know, really capitalize on that next year. Definitely let me know down in the comments what you guys think about all this. Can you even imagine Milestone being able to pull off something like that? Hell, they can barely even make like just the Supercross game every year. Do we really think they can go in there and make all of those Lucas Oil Pro Motocross tracks? Bro, I don't even know. I'm like really doubting this. That's why I didn't even really mention it before. That's why I didn't even really make a video on it before. It's like, you do understand, we are talking about Milestone here. But, bro, this is exactly what needs to happen. Like, there's no doubt about it. This is the exact thing that needs to happen, dude. I know that everybody and their grandmama's been talking about, bro, what if they just went in there and made an official Lucas Oil Pro Motocross game? I mean, I've been talking about that for a good like 5+ years now, and I know a lot of you other guys have wanted to see a game like that. Obviously, if you have an official Supercross game, then you would just expect Milestone to be making an official Lucas Oil Pro Motocross game, but up to this point, it's just not been like that. We've had the MXGP games, but we've not had an official Lucas Oil Pro Motocross game. And at this point, that's just exactly what needs to happen. And this is like the perfect way for them to do it. I don't see how you could say that, well, they don't have the rights to make a game like that, or they don't have the licensing, or they don't whatever, whenever you literally have Supercross and Motocross combined now with the Super Motocross stuff in real life. It's all combined. The points are combined for the Super Motocross Championship. You could have those Super Motocross rounds in the game, and that would give you all that kind of extra content that I've been talking about forever. I've been talking about like these official Supercross games feel like they're lacking so much because they don't have hardly any motocross content. They don't have hardly any of the like hybrid style tracks and stuff like that. And this would really give Milestone that perfect opportunity to do it. This is just like a no-brainer, bro. This is like you have to do this, Milestone. Like, that's going to be so disappointing next year if, we get through all the Super Motocross rounds this year and we get through the Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Series, and then next year we just get another Supercross game that only has the in-stadium Supercross tracks and that's it. Like, that's going to be so disappointing, man. But the big thing that worries me about this, if they are going to go in there and make a Super Motocross game, they're going to have to like double their workload. They're going to have to double their, the amount of effort that they're putting into it to have all of those replica motocross tracks. I feel like those are harder to do than the Supercross tracks are. They're going to have to really go in there if it's going to be like super accurate looking like their Supercross tracks are. That's going to take some work to go in there and do that for all of those national tracks, man. It really is. Like, that's going to take some serious effort to do that. That's why I'm like, bro, I just don't know if they can pull this off. But also, the problem you got to think of, too, is it's one thing to not have, like, ruts and roughness and, all that kind of stuff in a Supercross game. That's one thing. But I don't know how in the hell you're going to be able to go in there and have Lucas Oil Pro Motocross tracks that don't have any pre-made ruts, or they just have one giant singular MX vs. ATV Unleashed style inside berm. Like, you're not going to be able to get away with that on the Lucas Oil Pro Motocross tracks. You're just not, at all. Like, it's going to be even worse trying to, and you can see these, somewhat quote-unquote motocross tracks on Supercross 6 here. You can see the lack of ruts. You can see the lack of roughness. There's basically none. So you imagine like the replica Lucas Oil Pro Motocross tracks, they can't look like this shit right here. Bro, there's no way. That's not going to cut it. You see what I'm saying? So it's basically like for them to come out with a Super Motocross game, Milestone's basically going to have to totally reinvent the way that they're making these tracks, and they're going to have to totally come up with something and do something that they've never really done with their tracks before. And you would also have to believe you would have to have a solid terrain deformation system in a Lucas Oil Pro Motocross official video game. You would just have to. So, again, it goes back to that, yeah, it's all cool to talk about this as being a possibility, but Milestone? Do we really think that Milestone could do this, bro? Or do we really think that? I don't know, boys. This whole entire idea just seems so far-fetched to me. It just seems like I'm just wishful thinking, or I'm like, this is like, absolute best case scenario would be a 2024 Milestone Super Motocross game. Like, this would be absolute best case scenario. Like, I don't know. It almost feels goofy to even talk about it, because it's just like, can they even do it? But it would all kind of make sense if you think about it, because it's kind of like, they haven't been making the MXGP games. That's got to open up the door a little bit for the like different developer guys that were kind of working on those games. It's got to give them like more of an opportunity to potentially do this. And I know that they're really trying to make this Super Motocross thing with real life. They're really trying to turn it into something, so of course it would make sense for them to have an actual official Super Motocross game, and it would be coming at the perfect time, because I feel like these Supercross games are just kind of getting stagnant. They're getting kind of stale and boring after having 6 of them. 666! You know what I mean? It's just starting to get to that point. It's like they got to do something. They've been needing to do something different anyways, and I haven't really been able to figure out what that thing was going to be, but this is like prime opportunity here, Milestone, talking about make some money. If you come out with a Super Motocross game, bro, that could possibly bring in more money than the first Supercross game did. Like, no shit, legit, Spency Boy T-Sip and Rippin', I'm telling you the real talk right here, bro. Like, I'm telling you that, bro, you're just going to print money, and I hate to say it, but it almost don't even matter what the gameplay is like. Like, just simply having the title of a official Super Motocross game, and everybody knows that it's going to have the Lucas Oil replica motocross tracks combined with the official Supercross tracks, people are going to lose their shit, bro. Like, it really don't even matter how you make the gameplay, even though obviously I would love for you to actually make it, you know, similar to Supercross 3 with that kind of momentum and some like MXGP3 style terrain deformation at the bare minimum, you know, something like that, with some more pre-made ruts and roughness that actually affects the bike. You know, they kind of got away on those MXGP games. They got away with not really having any roughness. Like, you're not really going to flip over anywhere on an official MXGP game because you hit the braking bumps too hard like you would on Reflex or something like that. So, but like, bro, I mean, this is like that thing that would save Milestone. I didn't even think there was going to be something that could potentially save them, but this is exactly that thing that could do that. There's just no doubt about it. Like, absolutely no doubt about it in my mind. This is a must-do golden opportunity, and if you don't do it this year, it's going to be really confusing. Like, and when I say this year, I mean like coming out with the Super Motocross game based off of this year's Super Motocross Championship. You know, if you don't do it now, it's going to be really confusing and weird in the future, because then you're going to like, you know, you're going to still have your official Supercross games coming out, but then you're going to be also having the Lucas Oil Pro Motocross, and then, like, would you have all of those Super Motocross, like, playoff rounds and all those other speedway kind of tracks, like hybrid tracks? Bro, this is such a perfect opportunity. Then you could start having more of the speedway track editor stadiums like I've been talking about, like a Daytona tri-oval type. You know, more content with your track editor and more motocross hybrid-y style module pieces with your track editor. I've been wanting you to do that forever, and this is just like, it would make so much sense to do it with a Super Motocross game. You know what I mean? And being able to have that extra content. But then the question comes into, would they just come out with a Super Motocross game that's the same price of all their other Supercross games? That'll make you sit down and, you know, sip your tea. That'll make you think a little bit. Can Milestone really sacrifice that? Because typically they just make a Supercross game every year that has minimal changes, and they charge you full AAA $60 for it every year. So what in the hell makes us think they're going to go in there and add the entire Lucas Oil Pro Motocross series and the Super Motocross rounds into what they're already doing and still only charge you $60 for it? I don't know if the Milestone spreadsheet boys are going to, you know, sign off on that right there. I don't know if they're gonna do that, even though it only takes you 2 seconds to realize the logic behind if they did do that. They put all that extra effort in to give you all the motocross tracks and the Super Motocross tracks in one game, you know, and only charged you $60 for it, you're going to sell that many more copies to the point to where it would be the same difference as having like a official, Monster Energy Supercross game and an official Lucas Oil Pro Motocross game coming out in the same year. It's like you're going to sell double the amount of copies, so it would make up for it anyways. Do you see what I'm saying? That, sometimes when it comes to this gaming shit and marketing, you got to think outside the box a little bit. You can't be so glued into the spreadsheets and we're going to come out with 10,000 games a year. This is that opportunity right here, man. So anyways, yeah, I don't know. I guess it can go two ways at this point. They can keep on doing what they're basically doing. Come out with like a Supercross 7 in 2024. But like, oh, what a missed opportunity that would be. Oh my gosh. Like, now that I think about it, bro, you don't even need to be thinking about a Supercross 7. You need to be thinking about the first SuperMotocross game. And what this would do is it would give you a little bit of a restart point. You know what I'm saying? It's like with every Supercross game that you come out with, it gets harder and harder to keep that fan base there. It gets harder and harder to keep people buying. I feel like that's what they went through at the MXGP games. Those were coming out before the Supercross games were. They had MXGP 1, 2, 3, Pro, 2021, 2069. They just kept going and kept going. And then it just got to that point where I just feel like it was just like, why in the hell would anybody buy the new MXGP game? It's kind of like it gets exponentially more challenging to keep that fan base connected to it and buying the game. And we have like 420 Supercross games at this point. So they're starting to get to that point where the MXGP games were, that really repetitive. Why would we pay $60 for another one? And so when you think about it, the fact they can go in there and basically make like a whole different game with the SuperMotocross game, they can start making SuperMotocross games at that point then. You see what I'm saying? And like restart the whole process. And then make a SuperMotocross 2 and a SuperMotocross 3. And then it's going to give Milestone that opportunity to have like a really good reset button. But it just seems like to me, like what I think's going on, like the reason why Supercross 4 and Supercross 6 feels so weird compared to Supercross 3 is because I feel like it gets to the point where Milestone has basically tweaked all the knobs. They've twisted all the knobs. They've hit all the buttons. Bop it, bro. Like they've tried everything with the physics of what they feel like they can do with their game engine. So that's what creates that weird shit where it's like, how the hell did they go from Supercross 3 to Supercross 4 or Supercross 6? It's because I feel like it just gets that point where all Milestone can do is just go in there and basically randomly change the physics, like, make the game slower instead of faster, make the jump smaller instead of bigger. Like, they can only do so many different things because I feel like they've maxed out what they're able to do with their game engine. I feel like Supercross 3 was basically the pinnacle and the maximum of like the skill gap and the movement and all of that, the realism and all that kind of stuff to the physics that they could possibly do with their game engine. So it's not even like they could have even necessarily went in there and just made a better Supercross 3. And maybe that's the whole reason why we saw what we saw, is because their game engine can only handle so much, and so all they can do is just tweak it, and then it's just going to end up making kind of weird and worse games. So, yeah, I think that's what's happened. I think that's why you've kind of seen that difference between like the MXGP 3 days and the Supercross 3 days to like the MXGP 2020 and the Supercross 6, where the games are a lot slower, more basic, simplistic. I feel like it's just Milestone. It's like they're just, for the sake of not coming out with literally the same exact feeling game every year, they got to change something. So you see what I'm saying? It's almost like it's almost like sometimes all they can do is change it in a worse way. Sometimes all they can do is tweak certain physics things that's going to actually make the gameplay worse just for the sake of making the game different, because they're making so many of them every year that they got to make it different somehow. And then that's what creates the weird shit where it's not always better. You see what I'm saying? But like with this Super Motocross game, it's going to kind of give them that opportunity to reset a little bit and go back in there. They could have like another Supercross 3 feeling style game, but it's going to be a totally different game in a sense. So it's not going to matter if it feels like really similar to Supercross 3. You know, people would probably prefer that at this point. So, Milestone, I done kept it real from the jump, man. I've always been me, I guess I know myself. I done told you all this way back in the day. Here's your opportunity. Super Motocross game. Supercross tracks combined with the motocross tracks, and also still have the free ride, content and the track editor content. You could do it. You can do it, bro. I mean, you can do it. If you really sit down and you really try hard on this, you can do it, man. Like, this is definitely possible. I know it's going to be challenging because you're not used to putting that much content in a game where the game's actually worth $60. I know, I understand. You've never really done that before, but it's time, bro. It's just time.